Hey folks, Dr. Joe here. I am glad you're with us today. And rushing in here, get everything organized. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's a spectacular day, and we're going to give you a lot of good information today. The way the show works, if you're new to the show, is it's real simple. We do two 24-minute segments. So I talk and yap for 24 minutes. You get to listen. And while I'm talking, if you have any healthcare questions, not just about the topic that we're talking about, but any healthcare question, you type it in, whatever platform you're on. And Joe, the man behind the camera over there, will go ahead and read them to me at the 24-minute break. I will then answer your healthcare questions, and then we do another 24-minute segment, and we do the same thing. I answer your questions. So this is a great opportunity for you to ask the doctor questions that you have, and many people have questions, don't know where to turn. Here's your opportunity. So any healthcare questions about you, your friends, your family, that's what we need to do. We ready to rock, Joe?
I have a question.
Well, yes.
What's the topic today?
Oh, the topic today, that's right. Mental health crisis. With everything going on, a lot of people are coming into our offices with mental health issues, depression, anxiety, aggravating things like bipolar, ADD, ADHD. So we're going to talk about that, what's causing it, and then things that we can do to actually take care of it. Now, everyone needs this because we all are suffering from this. We all are having anxiety and depression at some level because of everything that's going on in the world. And we're going to talk about what we can do for it for ourselves and then also for people we love. So that's how the game is played. Good question. What's the topic? All right, we ready to go now? Got my nice herbal tea there. All right. That's all right. Joe's got to do his thing. So it's a good time for you and I to talk a little bit. Let's talk about Joe because we'll make believe he's not here. So, Joe, I gave you some sample. We're going to get you some samples. Did your kids try the new children's samples of supplements, the chewables?
No.
Okay, we got them. I got some samples in from manufacturer, and I want your kids to try them because we had Kayla and Christine and Heather's children, and we're getting feedback. So I want to get your kids' feedback too. So Christine will bring it in tomorrow, and then let your kids try it. Because we're trying to come out with a kids supplement as well. So many people ask me for chewable, and we're trying to come up with one now. So we're going to get Joe's kids' opinion. Kids are more important than we are. So in time, you will get supplements tomorrow to try, and then your children will be our guinea pigs. We are going to solicit them. We are going to break all child labor laws by using your children and not paying them a penny. That's what we're going to do. So
My kid's pretty picky.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good then. That's what we want. So we want some kids who are going to give us, what to do about it. What can we do differently? So, all right.
Yeah, he's crazy. He likes eating like spinach and carrots and
he's a weird dude,
apples and tangerines.
He ain't right. Just ain't right.
Doesn't really like eating meat a whole lot.
Good boy. That's our goal. Save the world. All right. We ready to rock yet?
Yeah, just had to turn it off and back on, and it magically worked.
When in doubt. I did that the other day with something that was so silly. I can't remember what it was, and it worked. And I thought, this should have never worked, but it did. All right, ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. I am happy that you're here, and I use the word happy today, because what we're going to talk about today is the mental health crisis that is right now global. Now, you may not think that it's affecting you, but it is, because there's so many things happening, bad news. It's in these news cycles that are coming around. It's just one bad news cycle after another bad news cycle. And so I've really gotten to the point where I can't even watch the news much anymore. I watch the highlights to see what happened, and then if it's not something that's really going to give me good information or something I could use, I switch over. I'll even go to Comedy Central and watch reruns of Futurama. But I've got to break that cycle. And especially with mental health issues like Naomi Judd recently committed suicide, of course, Robin Williams a while ago. We're starting to see these issues are affecting everyone. So it's not just us. And I think it was, I want to say Jim Carrey might have said, I remember the quote, who said it. But he said, I wish everybody could be rich and famous and have everything they want and realize that's not going to solve their problems. So it really is true. So no matter who you are, we all have these issues. And I want to address them, admit that they're there, first of all, address them, and then give you a lot of tips, a whole bunch of tips on what to do about it. And it's really a day-by-day thing. And just before I went on the air, I was talking to my office manager, Damon, and he says, what's your topic? And I told him, and he said, yeah, exactly. He says, I work really hard, meaning him, to eat right, get my rest, make sure I'm getting chiropractic care, make sure I'm as healthy as I can possibly be, because we're not immune to the news cycles. We're not immune to what's going on, and it's a pretty serious issue. So in the United States, we're facing this crisis, and experts are noting that we're in dire need of more mental health professionals. Now, I think that everyone at some point in their lives should go through counseling sessions and find out what kind of things that happened in their lives are affecting them and what to do about it. I'm a huge proponent of counseling. You can do therapists, you can do psychiatrists, you can do psychologists, but getting deep and admitting that there's issues is really important. Because we all have issues. Everybody's had issues. Maybe it's a death of a loved one. Maybe it's the loss of a job. Maybe it's something that happened as a child. Maybe it was a mean sister or a mean brother. Family issues, uncles, moms, dads. So there's issues that occur, and when we're little, we don't realize that it's a problem. My father was disabled. He was deaf. And I didn't realize that that was an issue because it's the only thing I knew. I only knew that my father was deaf, and that was what it was. So not that it was a traumatic issue in my life. My father had an accident before I was born. He fell off a ladder and fractured his skull and went deaf. So I just thought that's how it was. And that's not a big thing. I mean, it's a big thing, but it wasn't like my father was beating me or my parents were abusing me. But when you're young, you just assume this is all there is. This is all I know, and I'm assuming this is what the whole world is all about. And so many times we have to address these issues. And I remember with my dad, when I went through counseling, we talked about it, and the counselor said, "Are you mad at your father?" And I said, "I can't be mad at him. He went deaf. It wasn't his fault." He said, No, that's not the question. Were you mad that he never heard your voice? And it took me a second, and I went, yeah, I am. I'm very mad that he never heard my voice. Now, it doesn't mean I can do anything about it, but it's okay to feel that emotion. And that's what was really cool that I learned. It was okay to be mad at him. It was okay to be mad at somebody when they die. How dare you leave me? Now, it's not a rational thought. It's not like, I'm going to do something about it, but it's okay to feel these things. And so with everything going on in the world, it's okay to be upset. And we're going to talk about things we can do about that too. And this one, Kristen Drake, who's a clinical associate professor of psychiatry, New York University, she says, every day people call my office looking for help. A loved one who has not left their bed for a week. A father who's experiencing panic symptoms for preparing for his children for school. A young woman using substances, and she's putting herself in danger. These are people in real crisis, and they are. And even if you're a parent and you've raised a child, you know what it's like. There are times where you don't like your child, and you feel terrible that you don't like your child. I just want you to sleep. I just want you to sit down. I just want you to listen. Those are okay feelings. Don't act on them, but it's okay to have the feelings. So this doctor is saying their conditions are complex and acute. They require expert help, people to talk to, maybe management with drug withdrawal, maybe prescription medication. But before the pandemic, she said, I could always help. I would be able to find time to meet with someone for a consultation, make a few calls, and do it right. But since the pandemic, she says she's booked solid. And now counseling has gone online, which is kind of cool too. But even those online folks are getting pretty booked up. So depression and anxiety are at an all-time high. Now, according to the most recent Household Pulse survey, I don't know who they are, it's conducted by the U.S. National Center for Health Statistics, 27.3% of American adults struggle with depression or anxiety, and that's in addition to 40 million Americans who report substance use disorders. So substance abuse is an issue as well. And I said the other day, who was I talking to? I can't remember. Something about drinking and how it's been so long since I've had a drink. I hadn't had a drink since I was 28 years old, and I never drank a lot. I never liked it. And when I finally admitted to myself, I just don't like drinking. It was okay. I just stopped drinking. And they said, yeah, most people, you're the rarity. Most people really enjoy their drinking. And then they joked, they said, you're not good for the alcohol business. But it becomes an issue because if you have a drink, that's one thing. But when you have multiple drinks and you drink every day, I had somebody I knew very well, and she had to have a glass of wine every day. Then it became 2 glasses of wine. Then it became 3 glasses of wine. And then she said she was going to stop, and then she didn't. And eventually I ended the relationship because I realized that this person needed help and she wasn't seeking help. And there wasn't much else I can do at that point. And so substance abuse is a big issue, and food can be a substance. Okay, eating too much can deal with anxiety and depression. So, according to this doctor, it doesn't go, the mental health issues are fairly obvious, and the price to society is huge, and a lot of it has to do with the overwhelming nonstop news cycles with bad news. And I saw a meme the other day, and it was meant to be funny, but it said something about monkeypox. I haven't even taken down my Ukraine decorations yet. Now, I understand the humor behind it, but it really is telling that we're being bombarded with news cycle after news cycle about one thing after another, and then there's shootings. And when is there some good news? Well, the good news is, I'm going to tell you right now, the good news is that you can control how your body reacts to these things. Oftentimes, it's a hard to define issue. I don't know why I'm sad. I don't know why I don't have the energy I used to. I don't know why I don't have the libido that I used to. I don't know why I don't want to socialize like I used to. I know when COVID kind of started wrapping up and we started having events and going out again, I felt weird. You know, before COVID, I would get invited to 2, 3, 4 events a week. Dinners, parties, gatherings, networking groups. And I would be exhausted. I just want to go home and sleep. I don't feel like going out anymore. And then when it started coming around again, I thought, I don't feel right doing all this. So we have shifted. We've become more introverted, I think, in our socializing. Now, trauma usually involves some type of life-threatening event that can leave you fearful or helpless. Many who have religiously followed the mainstream news over the past 2 years have clearly been traumatized. You can't not be traumatized. The death-dealing blow in the form of now the virus was the thing that kind of tied everything together. Could come from anyone, your loved ones, people you care about. So you were never safe when the virus was going crazy. You didn't know if somebody you're talking to, it could be somebody you're dating, could be your family member, could be your children. You kind of started putting up a barrier and saying, are they carriers? I don't know. So what's more, it wasn't an isolated incident that could be processed and recovered from. It was a slow-moving disaster. It escalated over time, and the problem was it didn't seem to have an end. Still doesn't have an end. And so whatever we end up calling it, it's clear that this pandemic had been a key causative factor in this mental health crisis. I'm going to get to what to do about it in a second. Don't worry. March 2022, World Health Organization said discussion about when and how to declare the end of the pandemic was underway, but we still weren't there yet. And we're still not there yet. It's still part of the news cycle every day. Now, we add to that, like I said, Ukraine, mass shootings, inflation, gas prices going through the ceiling. No wonder we have a mental health crisis. And what happened was, when people got into their lockdown, they started eating bad foods. And people put on the COVID-20, they were calling it, or COVID-15. It used to be called the freshman 15. When you go to college, you put on 15 pounds. Now they're calling it the COVID-15. So people were putting on weight because they stayed home, they ate more, they weren't outside, they weren't socializing, and it became a big issue. That, in turn, weakened your immune system. Bad food can weaken your immune system. So now you're sitting at home, you're not socializing, you're not moving around, now you're eating bad food, you weaken the immune system even further, and the struggle became overwhelming. And so anxiety started to set in. And I saw it with our patients, and I have a benefit that most people don't, is I deal with a lot of people. You know, we have 4 offices in the Atlanta area. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb, and it's a big issue. Because people come to us with their health issues, not just back pain and neck pain, but health issues as well and emotional issues. Even at the station. When I go to the radio station, it used to be packed. And, you talk to all the news reporters, you talk to the people from the other stations, and you'd socialize, you'd check in almost with each other. And you became your working family. And then suddenly we weren't seeing anybody for a while. And then suddenly they started trickling back a little bit. So it's getting better. But there's no simple answer to the mental health crisis. But there are a lot of things that we can do to keep ourselves physically healthy as well as mentally healthy. And that's really what I want to talk about today. Because there's stress that we experience. And there's 3 types of stress. There's chemical, physical, and emotional stress. And those stresses affect the body chemically. So right now, wherever you are, if a gunshot went off, your body would release adrenaline. Your body would dump out a hormone called cortisol. And cortisol does several things. Cortisol causes the body to react under trauma and along with adrenaline. But cortisol then also, if the cortisol levels stay high, the body says this stress is not going away. It's not just that was a car backfiring, it wasn't a gunshot, and I'm okay. What happens is cortisol then says, I don't know when this stress is going to end. I'm going to cause the body to start storing energy because we're going to need that energy in the future to protect ourselves. So that energy we store is called fat. And so when cortisol levels are high, your body has a tendency to lay down fat. Fat produces estrogen. Estrogen is a growth hormone. Estrogen then causes you to lay down fat, which causes you to produce estrogen, which causes you to lay down fat. So we get caught in a trap, as Elvis Presley said, and the body starts to react. And it really speeds up the aging process as well. So stress really ages us, emotional stress. Now, there's physical stress. How about neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, numbness, tingling? How many people have some type of pain? Raise your hand. I'm going to guess everyone is going to raise their hand. I don't know anyone who's totally immune to pain. So if we have acute pain, I sprained my ankle, it hurts, I'm going to wrap it, I'm going to put ice on it. The body deals with it as an inflammatory reaction. The body sends out white blood cells, the inflammation goes down, and the body's healed. Long-term pain, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, really has an adverse effect on our blood pressure, on our cortisol levels, on our antioxidant levels, and the brain, the stress of the brain. And so the body now has some real serious things it has to deal with. And so if you have long-term pain, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, this is one of the stresses that many times you can fix, you have control over. You might not have control over a war, over a pandemic, but you do have control over your own body. So if you have pain, what do you think would be the number one treatment for pain? Most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain? Chiropractic care. There's your answer. It's not hard. If you have pain, chiropractic care, most effective, least expensive, generally speaking. Not everybody, but generally speaking. So why not get that taken care of? You can't control the wars or the pandemics or the inflation, but you can control how your body deals with it. So if you'd like to come see us in the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We would love to be your doctors. So if you want to make an appointment, you can do it right online, drjoe.com. And we can get you usually seen within 48 hours. Normally, the first visit is $712. We reduce that to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, the next visit going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. The x-rays alone, anywhere else, is probably going to cost you more than $299. Now, if you do it and we find something wrong, prepare to get it fixed. Don't come in and just kick some tires and say, I just want to find out what's going on. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Come in with the understanding if there's something wrong, let's go ahead and fix it. And so if you have an issue, you can go to our website, drjoe.com. We accept almost every insurance out there. In fact, I was talking to Tracy, my person who verifies insurances, and we had somebody come in with Nigerian embassy insurance. And she's verifying that now. So we accept just about every insurance known to man. If you're ever in a car accident, please, if the car is damaged, you're damaged. There's no other way around it. You need to come see us right away. And do it right away because the insurance companies play this game. And this game is that, well, Joe, you were in a car accident, but you didn't go to the doctor for a couple of days, couple of weeks, whatever they decide is going to be their, magic cutoff point. So we're going to deny your claim. We don't care if you get treatment or not. We're going to deny your claim because you weren't really hurt, or else you would have went to the doctor right away. Well, you didn't have a car. Your car got smacked up. Something happened at work. You had a virus. You couldn't go out. It's just one of these stupid games they play. So don't let them throw up barriers. Now, we can get around those barriers. I have ways around those barriers. I've played this game, and it's this battle going back and forth. But try to get in and see us as soon as possible. drjoe.com. Again, Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. So let's jump into what you need to do to deal with the anxiety, depression that's going on. So physically, we know right away, come see us. We're really good at that. Chemically, let's talk about that, food. I want to talk about the foods to avoid if you have anxiety or depression. Actually, I should take that back. These are the foods to avoid no matter what. These are the things that when you put in your body are going to make anxiety and depression worse, but are going to make everything worse. So I just want you to avoid them anyway. So from a nutritional standpoint, let's talk about some things. Now, one thing, this is interesting because I saw a patient do this the other day. They came in and had a bottle of orange juice with them. And they said, hey, doc, look at me. I'm not drinking soda anymore. I'm drinking orange juice. You had a big influence on me. And I said, it's probably just as bad as soda. What? It's orange juice. Comes from fruits. You always say eat fruits and vegetables. The fiber in the whole fruit helps fill you up and slow down how your body absorbs the sugar. So what happens is if I eat an orange, it has fiber, and the fiber slowly pushes the sugar through the colon, and I get a slow release of sugar, giving me steady energy for a certain amount of time. Without the fiber, you're basically just drinking slightly nutritious sugar water that gets absorbed very quickly, spikes your blood sugar, then crashes you, and it can leave you feeling angry, hungry, or hangry, of course, that's the new word. I like that word. It doesn't help with anxiety and depression. You want to eat whole foods, not the store, but the foods, because whole foods have fiber and phytonutrients, and it slowly pushes the food through the colon, giving that slow release of energy. Now, if you're going to drink, you want to drink water. Herbal teas work very well. There's several relaxing herbal teas, lavender tea, chamomile tea, very relaxing. Now, you can have these teas hot or iced. A lot of people don't know, never thought about it really. They always think about iced tea as just black orange pekoe tea, and they put sugar in it and lemon, and that's iced tea. What about iced chamomile or lavender or slippery elm? There's so many other teas out there, caffeine-free, that you can drink that gives you a nice calming feeling. I like chai tea, cinnamon. I love cinnamon tea. So there's a lot of different teas that you can do iced as well. Now, we talked about that, but soda is pretty much the same thing. Blood-spiking sugar, same thing like fruit juice, but there's no nutrition in it. So the orange juice might be a little better. Maybe I should say it's just not as bad. So sugar-sweetened drinks like soda, direct link to depression. If you crave soda, what you can do is just take some seltzer. Seltzer, by the way, is bubbly water. Club soda is bubbly water with salt in it. Seltzer versus club soda, now you know. And just put a splash of juice in there. That would be a better choice. Or better yet, use like lemon juice or lime juice. If you want to sweeten it, add a little stevia to it. That works really well. So what's going to happen is if you're drinking soda, let's say you're drinking a cola. Cola has something in it called phosphoric acid. Phosphoric acid, when it gets in your body, is an acid. The body has to neutralize that acid. The body uses calcium as its primary neutralizing agent. So your body gives up calcium to neutralize the acid. You need calcium to help you relax. So anxiety, depression, if you're drinking acid foods, I call them the 7 deadly sins, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, those 7 foods are bad for many different reasons, but all of them are acidic. Rob the body of calcium. Calcium neutralizes the acid, but you need the calcium to relax, so you can't relax, and that exacerbates your anxiety and your depression. Get the soda out of the house. The bottom line. Now, there are sodas that are sweetened with stevia. Zevia is one brand name. I think Blue Mountain might have stevia sweetened or Lohan sweetened. But those sodas are okay, but not colas. Cola has caffeine, also has phosphoric acid. So stay away from those, but just make your own soda. It's just that simple. So much cheaper, too. Now, diet soda is the worst of them all. No sugar, no problem, right? No, that's not how it works. You may not have the energy crash that comes with having too much sugar, but diet soda may make you depressed. In fact, it could make you feel so down, worse than the sugary cousin, we'll call it. Too much caffeine in the sodas are bad for anxiety as well. So when it comes to artificial sweeteners that they use in diet sodas, aspartame is the most common one. Aspartame breaks down to 3 components: aspartic acid, phenylalanine, and methyl esters. Aspartic acid is an excitotoxin to the brain. What does that mean? It causes the brain to fire faster than it's supposed to and can literally burn out your brain cells. So if you have anxiety, depression, or any type of mental disorder, which we all have at some point, and you give yourself artificial sweetener, it's throwing gasoline onto the fire, especially aspartame. It also breaks down to methanol, which is wood alcohol, and it's an alcohol. And alcohol destroys brain cells, and it causes kidney damage. So of anything I talk about to drink, artificial sweetener is the worst. Alcohol is probably right up there, but maybe, God, I hate to say not as bad, but artificial sweetener is the worst of the worst. Sucralose, which is the yellow packet usually, is a chlorinated hydrocarbon, also an artificial sweetener. And chlorinated hydrocarbons cause the body to act as if they have estrogen, too much estrogen. And so that's not good either, because we said earlier that estrogen causes you to lay down fat, which produces estrogen, which causes you to lay down fat, and estrogen can make you sad. Estrogen has effects on the brain, and too much of it can bring about sadness. So please, I'm begging you, everybody should stay away from artificial sweetener, especially if there's anxiety or depression involved. And now you might be thinking to yourself, well, Dr. Joe, I eat really light in the morning. I wake up, I just have some orange juice and toast. Well, we talked about orange juice already. Let's talk about something as simple as toast. It's made from white bread. Highly processed white bread quickly turns into blood sugar. So eating white bread is like eating cookies and cakes. Don't think it's any better. It's actually just as bad. That can cause the energy spikes, and that can lead to anxiety and depression. So if you're going to do a bread, you shouldn't. But if you're going to, I would recommend, if you can, do a whole grain, gluten-free bread. Now, those are kind of hard to find, to be honest with you. They don't taste as good as white bread. So try to stay away from bread. People say, well, Dr. Joe, what's the best bread out there? Well, there really isn't a good bread. Gluten-free is better than non-gluten-free. But if you're going to do it, you have to eat with a lot of fiber. So the fiber can act like a whole food would, like vegetables or fruit, and push the sugar slowly through the colon and get that slow release. But the best thing is really to stay away from bread if you can. So breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, not the healthiest thing for you, especially if we're dealing with anxiety and depression. Now, I said eat salads, and I've had people say, well, Dr. Joe, I eat salad with blue cheese dressing on it. Not a good idea. Dairy, not a good idea, loaded with estrogen-like compounds. And also, many times the light or sugar-free dressings have those artificial sweeteners in them. And the artificial sweetener is a thing that we're talking about, how bad it is. Listen, I got a lot more to cover. We're dealing with anxiety and depression, what's happening in today's society with the nonstop news cycles, bad news every day. What do we do about it? You have control over what you eat. And you can't control other things, but you can control your diet. And so I'm telling you what not to eat, then we'll tell you what to eat. As a spoiler, everybody should be taking Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Those are the minimum supplements you should take, along with omega-3 fatty acids for brain function. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about brain function and what to do. But Super Greens and Essential Source are available on our website, drjoe.com. We can ship them to you. Come pick them up in our offices. But the best thing is come in for an evaluation so we can find out what's wrong with your body so we can get it fixed. And you can book your appointments right on our website, drjoe.com. Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We'll be right back. Okay.
So can't have a salad with chicken and bacon and ranch dressing?
That's kind of what I was getting at, yeah.
Let me throw my lunch out.
That's it. Throw it away. No, Joe eats great. He's only playing him. He's teasing us. Any questions?
We did have a question,
Okay.
and I think you know the answer to this.
I hope so.
Somebody had a spinal fusion 10 years ago, and now they're having pain again.
What a surprise.
What's up with that?
Well, if you have one surgery, chances are, spine surgery, chances are you're going to have two more before you die. Okay? Now, depending how old you are, of course. But generally speaking, if you have one, there's two more. Because what happens is when you have a spinal fusion, those bones are locked up. They don't move anymore. They're done. But the bones above and below it now move more to try to make up or compensate for that fusion. And so inevitably, there's going to be problems later on. So it's not a one and done, and surgeons don't tell you that, of course, but it's not a one and done. So what you want to do is come see us so we can keep the joints throughout the spine that aren't fused mobile. And we've prevented, we know of, I don't know, probably hundreds of thousands of cases that we avoided surgery with, but we don't know how many we avoided because it never happened. So, yeah, that after surgery, I can't imagine why the doctors wouldn't insist you get chiropractic care to stabilize the rest of the spine. So that's one you want to come see us for. In the Atlanta area, where are they? Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. Love to see you. Any other preguntas?
Not at the moment.
All right. I know these weird times. We're going to get back to a stable time again, folks. Don't worry. But right now, I am training new doctors to be as good as we are. And so that's what is taking up the time. And so we have to kind of squeeze these podcasts in. And we'll get back to normal. We have to. We have a doctor. In fact, today she's starting training, so hopefully she'll work out great. She's old. She's older than you, Joe. Can you imagine how old she is? Wow. That's like antique almost.
Okay. Prime of her life.
Prime of her life. That's it. Now we like to play with Joe here. Keep him on his toes. All right, we ready for part 2 of what to do? All right. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. What we're talking about today is the mental health crisis that's going on, not in just the United States, but around the world. And a lot of it, I feel, is due to the nonstop bad news cycles. We're hearing about war. We're hearing about pandemics. We're hearing about new pandemics. We're hearing about people getting vaccines, and sometimes the vaccines work, and then it didn't work, and what happens if it didn't work, and what about boosters? And then we hear about inflation and gas prices and baby formula shortages and mass shootings everywhere. Every day there seems to be a new mass shooting. Yeah, you're going to be affected by that. Nobody cannot be affected by it, or else you're not human. So normal humans are being affected by this. And, one thing you can do, of course, is turn off the news. Stop listening so much. Or what I do is I just kind of tune in at the top of the hour and get the highlights to see if there's anything I need to know for that day, and then switch over to something entertaining, lighthearted, because it's everywhere. People talk about it. It's in the news. It's a radio. It's on television. It's in the newspapers, if you know what those are. And they're everywhere. You turn on your browser. What's the first thing? News, news, news. So we have to do certain things now more than ever to keep our brains and our bodies functioning well. And so we're talking about what not to do, then we're going to talk about what to do. And certainly supplements help tremendously when it comes to this. And the minimum supplements I think everybody should be taking are Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're 2 powders. They taste great. We have 3 types of Super Greens now. We have regular, we have mint flavored, which I like, and we also have now hemp. And the hemp, actually I like the flavor. It's a little nutty flavor. It doesn't taste as grassy or natural. I don't know if natural is the right word, but earthy might be the right word. So people are loving the hemp Essential Source. So I just take a scoop of each. I mix it up with a frozen banana, give me my potassium for the day. Potassium helps counteract sodium, helps keep my blood pressure low. We talked about that last week on the show, adding potassium chloride to your sodium chloride. Potassium chloride is a salt. Adding it to your table salt, giving you less sodium, more potassium, which does wonders for blood pressure. It's kind of cool. So if you missed that, it's on our website, drjoe.com. We have over 2,000 hours of podcasts on our website, 3,000 hours now of drjoe.com. We have audio, we have video. I want you to follow us on social media at Dr. Joe Esposito because we post almost every day. We post when we do live events. We post when we do podcasts. So you definitely want to tune into that, and it's free. Just follow us. It, of course, doesn't cost you anything to follow us. And if you're a podcast junkie, just type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. And we have hundreds of hours on your podcast service, whatever it is, too. So let's jump back into the food you want to avoid now more than ever with what's going on in the world. Ketchup, mostly tomatoes, right? Well, sort of, and sugar. It's about 42% sugar, so it's a lot of sugar. It's like eating candy. So just be careful with that. If you need something, you can do a homemade tomato salsa, add a little kick to it. You can add some cayenne pepper. But ketchup is really just salty tomatoes. Sugary tomatoes, I'm sorry. Try to get it low sugar if you're going to do it, and try to do organic as well. Coffee. If you're not used to drinking coffee, it can make you jittery and nervous. It can also mess with your sleep. Now, it never helps with anxiety and depression because it's a stimulant to the brain and nervous system. So caffeine withdrawal can be pretty bad too. Now, in my first book that I wrote, Eating Right for the Health of It, I have a chapter called Kicking the Habit. And if you have to kick your coffee habit, what you do is you take a cup of black organic coffee and put it in front of you. And then every hour, take a tablespoon, just 1 tablespoon. I'm going to give you just a little caffeine so the brain can start to reboot itself. And I won't give you a whole lecture on caffeine, I don't have time, but how dangerous it is to the brain. And I'll show you how to reboot the brain so you can slowly wean yourself off the coffee. I've been doing this for years, working with thousands of people. The longest it ever took anyone to come off their coffee, if they really wanted to come off it, was 4 days. They had to take a tablespoon every hour for 4 days, and then they were able to wean themselves off. So just be careful with the caffeine. If you drink decaf, it can actually help a little bit with depression. All coffee, though, should always be organic because they spray so many fungicides and chemicals and pesticides on coffee that you're really just drinking a lot of pesticides. So I do recommend tea or organic coffees, and organic decaf is going to be your best choice, of course. Kind of goes along with energy drinks. They can cause arrhythmias, heart racing too fast, anxiety, sleep issues. It's not always easy to know what the sky-high levels of caffeine are, hidden ingredients like guarana. So you're looking at it, says, well, it has coffee beans, and that has caffeine, but what about guarana? I don't know what guarana is, so that's okay. No, guarana has caffeine in it as well. So they're loaded with loads of sugar, artificial sweeteners, Again, if you're thirsty, what do you drink? Water or herbal teas, iced or hot, either one. And if you have to have something sweet, that's when you can have a piece of fruit. I like to have fruit at my house. And again, I grew up very poor. So nothing went to waste when I was a child. Me, my mother, my father, and my sister. And nothing went to waste. So if I have something in the house, it's ingrained in me. Again, we are products of our childhood. So if it's in the house, I'm going to eat it. So if I have good stuff in the house, I'm going to eat it before it goes bad. If I have bad stuff in the house, I'm going to eat it before it goes bad. So in my upbringing, just have good stuff in the house, and then you turn that learned behavior into something positive. I have a bunch of oranges in the house. I got to eat them before they go bad. Great. No problem there. I have a bunch of lettuce in the house. I got to make a salad before it starts to wilt up. That's a good thing. So if you load yourself up with good foods and you don't throw things away, you can use that to your advantage. Alcohol is so bad. And alcohol lowers your testosterone level. Now, I do a show right around Valentine's Day, and it's usually the same theme, the food romance connection. And we talk about how food can affect your love life. And it's always a very popular topic because people don't know this. And everybody wants to know it, but they don't know who to ask. So you could ask Dr. Joe. Now, if you go to our website, drjoe.com, and just type in food romance connection or food sex connection, you could listen to podcasts we've done in the past of that and over 3,000 hours of other topics. But alcohol lowers your testosterone level. And it also affects your sleep. So not enough rest can cause anxiety and depression, which is our topic today. And too much sleep can even cause more problems. So a drink can calm your nerves and make you more sociable because you think you're cool and funny. But it's not good for your mental health. So if you're going to drink, you shouldn't. But if you do, I want you to have 3 glasses of water for every drink that you have. So if it's a beer, 3 cans of beer. If it's a mixed drink, 3 8-ounce glasses of water. The reason is alcohol is a diuretic. It makes you pee, and so it dehydrates you and flushes out a lot of important vitamins like B vitamins. And B vitamins are necessary for brain function and depression. So if you're flushing out the B vitamins with the alcohol, you need to replace them. But if you're drinking a lot of water, you're less likely to really you're still going to flush them out, but it's going to cause less brain damage. So if you're going to drink, you shouldn't, but what some people have told me they do, I don't drink, but they'll take a dose of Super Greens and Essential Source, a scoop of each, and shake it up with coconut milk or almond milk and have that before they go drinking. And then when they get home, they'll have another scoop of Super Greens and Essential Source afterwards. And people have reported that they don't feel as sick or toxic when they do that. Now, you shouldn't be drinking, but if you are, this is a little trick you can do. 3 glasses of water for every drink you have, and then Super Greens and Essential Source before and after. You have it in the house anyway because you're taking it. Why not? Other foods you want to avoid when we're in a state of anxiety and depression like we are now with the bad news cycles and everything is you want to stay away from those comfort foods. And one of the things that people eat as comfort food is frosting. I know. I was a kid. I used to eat this stuff. But it's loaded with about 2 grams of trans fats per serving. Now, trans fats are a fat that's in a molecular form that's really dangerous to your liver. It clogs your arteries, and that can be linked to depression. Sometimes it's called partially hydrogenated oil. Hydrogenation is the process that creates the trans fat. So hydrogenation is the action. Trans fat is the product of it. They're also found in fried foods, pizza doughs, cakes, cookies, crackers. So if you're going to eat fat, avocados, okay. Nuts and seeds, okay. But stay away from the trans fat, the vegetable oils, not coconut oil, corn oil, soybean oil, canola oil. These are all very, very toxic, and they can really make depression a lot worse. Now, good fats like avocados can actually help with depression. Another thing you want to stay away from is soy sauce, because soy sauce is oftentimes made with wheat. So if you're sensitive to gluten, which most of us are, it can cause an inflammatory reaction. And then if you put it on things like noodles or wheat products as well, that's not going to be good. But if you're sensitive to gluten, it can cause anxiety and depression. Everybody, I believe, has some issue with gluten. Sometimes it's subclinical, which means it doesn't show up, but it's there. Now, let's assume it's not the gluten that's the problem. It's found in bread. It's found in wheat products, which is like eating sugar anyway. So you definitely want to stay away from that. Soy sauce also, when they manufacture it, it frees up something called glutamic acid. Glutamic acid is monosodium glutamate. And glutamic acid is very dangerous to the brain. It's an excitotoxin just like aspartame. We talked about that earlier. Aspartame causes the brain to fire faster than it's supposed to. Glutamic acid, monosodium glutamate, does the same thing. So anxiety and depression, folks, you really want to stay away from those things. Now, one of the biggest offenders is not just Chinese restaurants, but Thai restaurants. Because Thai restaurants, many times they'll use fish sauce. And fish sauce is really high in MSG. So if you go to a Thai restaurant, you have to insist no fish sauce. I will tell you that I've tried this. And I get a blazing headache if I get fish sauce or MSG. And I don't eat meat anyway, so I can't eat fish sauce. But if it's in there, I don't know it. I will tell you this, that about 25% of the time, I'll get a blazing headache at a Thai restaurant, even if they swear there's no fish sauce. I used to go to this one Thai restaurant, absolutely the best Thai restaurant I've ever been to, and I would eat the curry sometimes. And whenever I ate the curry, I get a headache. And I said, is there any fish sauce in this? No. So one day I'm in there, and the waitress says, she recognized me. Oh, you're Dr. Joe, yeah. And I said something about the curry has no fish sauce. She goes, no, all our curries have fish sauce. Well, I was told it had no fish sauce. No, our curries, all of them have fish sauce. So don't believe what they're telling you is what I'm telling you. So now there are vegetarian Thai restaurants. Those are safe. But just be careful with Thai food because many times it has MSG, and that can really blow up the anxiety and depression, the emotional disorders that might be going on. Processed foods, again, a lot of monosodium glutamate, packaged foods. In the first book that I wrote, Eating Right for the Health of It, I wrote a chapter on monosodium glutamate. And there's 40 different names that I could find that monosodium glutamate hides under. Autolyzed yeast, hydrolyzed vegetable protein, natural flavors can even be monosodium glutamate. So just be careful with that. Monosodium glutamate can really blow you up in depression. So if you're eating Chinese food because you're depressed, you're just going to get takeout or to-go food, that can actually be making it a lot worse. Now, MSG is found in a lot of processed foods because it stimulates the umami taste buds. Umami taste buds are the ones that taste savory. Relatively new finding, by the way. When I went to school, they didn't exist. We hadn't discovered them yet. So it's still discovering things in the body that we didn't know were there. You would think after all the tens of thousands, probably millions of dissections and surgeries that have happened, we're still finding new things. We just found a new ligament in the knee that nobody knew was there. I think, how would they know that? So how many people have had their knee operated on? Found a new one. So be careful with processed foods and monosodium glutamate. In my book, Eating Right for the Health of It, we have that whole chapter. And I used to work at a donut place. I used to make the donuts. Yes, I was that baker. Donuts, wow. Tasty, fun, loaded with bad fat, loaded with flour, loaded with sugar, loaded with trans fats when they're fried. So please stay away from the donuts as well. And I'll tell you a little story. I went to a place, I found it about a couple months ago, and it was a vegan donut shop. Now, I'm vegan. I don't eat animal products. And I said, my gosh, I haven't had a donut in 30-some-odd years. I'm going to try one. Be honest with you, it was amazing. It was a bear claw. So good. No, apple fritter, I'm sorry. So good. Oh, my gosh. I felt awful. Sugar, fat, even though it was vegan, still wasn't good for you. So just because something's vegan doesn't mean it's good for you. So just be careful with that. Now, let's talk about some physical things that can affect anxiety and depression. Your digestive system is a key player when it comes to anxiety and depression. Your stomach has one job, and that job is to take proteins. Now, whether that protein is found in a carrot or in a steak, it looks like a ball of yarn. So your stomach has acids in it, digestive enzymes, and it unravels this ball of yarn and chops it up into something called amino acids. It's 22 amino acids. Now, it chops it up, and these different amino acids go into your small intestine and get absorbed, and they do different things. So, for example, the amino acid tryptophan, that's one of the amino acids, when it gets into the small intestine, combines with vitamin B6, which is another reason you should take Dr. Joe's B complex every day. It's a supplement. It's on the website, drjoe.com. And it creates a chemical called 5-HTP. 5-HTP becomes serotonin in your brain. Serotonin makes you happy and calms you down. Now, here's the hook. I've seen a lot of patients in my 40 years that I've been doing this, 37 in practice, almost 38 in practice, then my internships. I've seen thousands, I'm going to guess tens of thousands of patients in my career. I have never found a patient who had an emotional disorder that didn't have a digestive problem directly linked to it. Because the stomach has to break the proteins into amino acids. And if they break them into amino acids and you don't have B complex like B6, it's not going to work either. So you need to have all the ingredients to make the cake. Okay, Jimmy Webb wrote MacArthur Park, a song, if you're old enough to remember it. And the line was, someone left the cake out in the rain. That was a metaphor for his relationship. He broke up with a girl that day. And anyway, I've seen Jimmy Webb in concert. It's great. I'll never have that recipe again, is the line from the song. Well, your body has the recipe, but it has to have all the ingredients. And so you have to give it all the ingredients, and you can't give it the ingredients if your digestive system is not working. Now, how do you know your digestive system isn't working? Your stomach breaks the proteins into amino acids. If the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm, you might have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, any digestive disorder. Almost always, I find the stomach is in the wrong place. It's pushed up. So my team of doctors are trained by me to take the stomach and gently pull it down away from the diaphragm. And when you do, now the stomach is capable of starting to break down the food more efficiently. I also recommend digestive enzymes. I take Dr. Joe's digestive enzymes every time I eat a cooked meal. If I eat a raw meal, I don't take digestive enzymes. When I eat a cooked meal, like if I went out for Thai food, I will take a digestive enzyme. Let me tell you, it'll change your life. It'll rock your world when you start digesting your food properly. But if the stomach is up against the diaphragm, we physically have to pull it back down. And that's why the number one reason we see patients is pain. The number two reason we see patients is digestive disorders. And we have people literally fly in from all over the world: Germany, Romania, England, Guam, South America. They come and see us because pain, of course, is a big issue, but digestive issues, almost nobody knows how to fix digestive issues the way we do. So if you'd like to make an appointment to come see us, if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, digestive issues, emotional disorders, nutritional concerns, drjoe.com. We'd love to see you. We have offices in the Atlanta area, Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We can usually get you an appointment within 48 hours, sometimes 24 hours. And we want to check your nervous system, digestive system, and your diet. Normally, the first visit is $712. We've reduced that for our listeners to $299. Exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. You can't get anything close to that because we want to introduce you to the work we do and determine if you're a candidate for our treatment. If you are, we're going to jump right into the treatment. So be ready to get treated if we can accept you as a patient. Now, we accept almost every insurance known to man: Medicare, Ambetter. There's tons of insurances that we accept. So if you have insurance, great. If you don't have insurance, the treatment we do is the most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. So it's extremely affordable for just about everybody. And we even have financing with Care Credit available. So we'd love to have the opportunity to have you as a patient. You can do it right now. Book it online, drjoe.com. Bring your children as well. Kids need care too. So we'll check your digestive system. We'll see if there's an issue. We check the nerve supply to the digestive system and the nerve supply to the brain, because the brain has to have good nerve supply and good blood supply. So we kind of check everything, and then we put together a nutrition evaluation specifically for you. We find out what you're eating. We recommend what to eat, what not to eat. If you want to get a jump start on that, you can go to our website, drjoe.com, and type in, "So what can I eat?" And there's a whole hour lecture that I did on what to eat: breakfast, lunches, dinners, snacks, things like that. So we'd love that opportunity to work with you. Another issue that's come up when it comes to mental disorders is loneliness. Loneliness is a public health emergency. It's a real serious issue. I know when my mom was alive, she was so lonely. And she would call her friends. She couldn't get out of the house in her later years. But she would call her friends, and then they were hard of hearing, and she was hard of hearing. And so eventually there were days where she didn't see people. And I begged her to come live with me. I remodeled my house to have her come live with me. She wouldn't do it. But loneliness is a big issue. Now, the pandemic made people more lonely, and that became more of an issue. Harvard study conducted during the pandemic found that 36% of Americans, which includes 61% of younger adults, feel lonely frequently or most of the time. 61% of young adults feel lonely. Now, it could be that older people have learned to deal with life's issues. It could be that younger people are more exposed to social media and they see everybody's life is great and they think their life stinks. By the way, everybody's life stinks at some point and everybody's life is great at some point. So they're only posting the highlights. They're not posting the lowlights. But things like the pandemic and just general loneliness that's been around for a long time has been a real serious issue. Now, the silver lining about the pandemic is that more and more people are doing what we're doing right now. They're talking about their emotional issues. They're going to counseling. They're opening up. They're discussing with other people, hey, listen, I don't want to start a fight, but I really like to discuss this issue with you. And there's different styles of dealing with people. There's imago therapy, which is therapy that I like. And you can deal with different styles on how to deal with people and not offend them. I'd like to discuss this with you. Is now a good time? And if the other person is, understanding what you're asking, then you can have an open discussion and not get people angry and not alienate people. But you have to take care of yourself to get the best results. If you're healthy, you're better able to take care of other people. There's a great line from an Emerson, Lake and Palmer song. It's a band, by the way. And the line is, you don't have to be well to be wealthy, but you've got to be whole to be holy. And so in order for you to be whole, you've got to take care of yourself. You've got to get the nervous system working, digestive system working, and your diet straightened out. The tools are here. I'm giving you the tools to make the action, to take the action. So on our website, we have about 3,000 hours of podcasts. So if you'd like to go to our website, drjoe.com, feel free, and you can type in any topic you're looking for: anxiety, depression, male hormones, female issues, blood pressure, diabetes. Chances are we've done a podcast or a show on it. All that's there. It's no charge. On our YouTube channel, we have hundreds, maybe thousands of hours of shows as well. So you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media at Dr. Joe Esposito, and Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, I think we're on now. LinkedIn. We post things on LinkedIn. I'm happy to follow you there as well. And we send out a lot of good information. And if you have questions, send them to me through the website, drjoe.com. There's a little bot that pops up. And I'm happy to answer your questions for you. Now, give me a day usually. So I try to get back to you right away, but give me at least a day to get back to you. Sometimes I'm not sitting at my computer 24 hours a day. But we want to be your doctors. We want to help get you well, whatever it takes. And with these shows, they go all over the world, of course. And so we get questions from all over the world, and I'm happy to help any way we can. And a lot of people say, well, Dr. Joe, I'd love to be your patient, but I live in Colorado, I live in Germany, I live in Romania. I understand that. But if we have offices in the Atlanta area, Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb, we would love the opportunity to be your doctors. So if you have a health issue, whether it's a pain issue, digestive issue, nutritional issue, please make an appointment to come see us, drjoe.com. You can do it right online. The first visit is normally $712. We've reduced that for our listeners only, $299. And we accept most insurances. Car accidents, sports injuries. Folks, if you're ever in a car accident, please come see us immediately, even if it's a minor injury. Well, the insurance company will say, well, it's no big deal. No, people have died at 12-mile-an-hour accidents. We have research and documentation on this. So, yes, injury can occur in low-impact injuries and high-impact injuries. I teach other doctors how to treat car accidents. They get continuing education credit for coming to my workshops. So we're really good at car accidents. And don't be scammed. Somebody might call you and say, oh, this is Bob from your insurance company. Go see this doctor. Go see this attorney. That's a scam. Don't fall for it. Folks, come see us. We'd love to be your doctors. drjoe.com. All right. What you got?
I think Mark Aram has a picture of you holding a hot and ready.
He does. I saw that. Yes, this week was National Donut Day, and Mark, he didn't out me. I just held the donuts. It's me. It's a picture of me, Von Hessler, and Clark Howard, and I'm standing there with a box of donuts. But no, he did not out me. I did not eat the donuts. So he just took a picture of me, but he held it. Blackmail. So, any questions?
Oh, we do. We have somebody that loves salt on their food and says that they know you recommend healthier salt, but can the healthier salt be harmful in any way?
What do you mean healthier salt?
I guess maybe the pink salt or sea salt.
Pink salt's better. I'm sorry, my phone was buzzing here. I didn't understand why. Pink salt is the best salt, of course. Now, if you want to, you can, like we talked about this last week, take your pink salt and add about 25% potassium chloride to it. And you get less sodium. The flavor doesn't hardly change at all, and you get more potassium to counteract the sodium. So, yeah, pink salt, Himalayan salt, air-dried sea salt, that's the best. Add some potassium chloride to it, better still.
Can they be harmful?
Oh, of course. Too much salt can be very harmful, yes.
Yes.
We talked about that last week.
I found that out this weekend.
Yes, you did.
I had a pretty boring show and went through a whole thing of cashews.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
And what happened?
It had sea salt.
Oh, it had sea salt.
I had a headache.
And you had a headache. There you go. See? Even Joe, the master, who should know all, cheated.
Yeah, I sat in a dark room for 12 hours to do that to you.
Okay, yeah. You get hungry. Yeah, I'll eat it. What the heck, yeah. No. Potassium chloride to counteract that, and then water. I smell something cooking. Smell toast?
It does smell a little
Maybe I'm having a stroke.
toasty.
Smells like food, though, so that's good. Any questions? That's what I was going
Yeah, another, when you were talking about MSG, somebody wants to know, what about naturally occurring MSG?
It's still not as bad, and it's also smaller amounts. And naturally occurring, let's say, than seaweed has other nutrients in there to help counteract it. So it's the concentrated MSG that's the danger. So, what else?
I think that's it.
Okay, guys, always the highlight of my week, spending some time with you, and hopefully we'll see you as patients. And if you have any questions, send them to me through the website, drjoe.com. See you next week.